guys, and welcome back to another episode of Federico Talks Watches. Today I want to show you three very cool and kind of quirky and rare watches that we have here at delraywatch.com that you may not know about, have seen, or even considered. These are definitely watches for the watch geeks. Now the first one is this Zenith El Primero. Now you might be saying, Federico, that's just an El Primero. Well, no, it's an El Primero Chronomaster Original 1969 in fantastic shape and on a bracelet. Now, what makes this special is it was made for a very short amount of time in the original tricolor dial and the original 38 millimeter case, which is the original size of the El Primero. Very highly collectible, and I believe Zenith only produced this for a couple of years. It holds the El Primero movement, which is not modular, which is also the second ever automatic chronograph movement, as you can see there. Let's focus on the case back. High beat movement, column wheel, you can see the column wheel there in blue, with the tricolor dial. Now this, of course, in 38, which might be a little small for my wrist here, is the original size, and collectors adore this piece because, of course, it harkens back to the original, as the namesake says. And I don't know why Zenith only made it for a couple of years, but if you look at Chrono 24, there's very, very few of these available, especially in this condition. So if you want an El Primero and you want something on a smaller size and you prefer something a little bit quirkier and you like the heritage, then this one is pretty much the ultimate modern El Primero, the original 1969. Now moving to another style. Here we have an extremely rare Wempe Flieger, excuse my German, a very cool pilot watch made in a silver case. Yes, this is not steel. This is not stainless steel. It is silver, and it is a limited edition of 150 watches, as you can see on the case side, and that hides that beautiful brass-plated movement made in the Wempe factory. Now, Wempe is one of the original watch manufacturers in Germany. They made Flieger watches for many, many years. A lot of you know them as a retailer, and in fact, I worked for Wempe as a retailer, but they were also a watch manufacturer. Here you can see a Type B dial with the Wempe logo and the script, with the minute counter on the outboard and the hours on the inboard, very, very legible. An onion style crown, as I said, limited edition of 150 in a sterling silver case, and that gorgeous movement with Wempe engraved on the wheel, their logo, as you can see here, the center second modification, and a swan neck regulator. This is very, very high-end watchmaking for what you get. I also love that glasuta ribbing, which is the decoration of the movement. Wempe's factory is in glasuta. Now this is a 43 millimeter case. It is manually wound, highly legible, vintage inspired, and, you know, in my opinion, a million times cooler than like a standard IWC Big Pilot or Mark 18. A watch brand that's been making Flieger watches their entire history. They were actually used by the German military, and that has some very, very cool details than just another standard ETA movement. This Wempe in such low productions is absolutely something you should check out. Now a brand we've talked about in the past, and a brand that I love but is not for everybody, and that is Alain Silberstein, a brand that is no longer in existence, made by the famous architect and designer whose namesake is on the brand, Alain Silberstein. This is the Chrono Bauhaus, made in stainless steel and PVD, slab-sided case with the wire lugs. Alain Silberstein is extremely whimsical. As you can see, they still use tritium on the dial. The hands match as well. I love the squiggly second hand, the lime green hands. I love the little unhappy face on the moon, which is usually the opposite. I think he kind of did that on purpose. In traditional watchmaking, the moon smiles, where here the moon is frowning. It's a triple date chronograph, not a Valjoux 7750, but it's much rarer predecessor almost, the La Magna. Now, not super highly decorated, of course, but a very, very quirky movement. I also love the inlays there. Alan Silberstein was a designer first and a watchmaker second. Was not massively appreciated when in his heyday in the 90s, but now he's massively collectible because he makes such interesting and quirky things like this watch. Now, this is a 36mm case, but it wears significantly larger because it is a little slab-sided. As you can see, I can actually pull it off decently well. Now, this is highly collectible. You get a lot of horology for not too much money, and it's a time capsule of 90s watchmaking, and something you really don't find every day. This Alan Silberstein is something that gets my my watch juices flowing. I absolutely love it. So the Alan Silberstein, the Wempe Flieger, and the El Primero original 1969. 3 watches that are not easy to find and that you may not have considered. All available at delraywatch.com, link in the description below.